Welcome to Garagistic. Here to tell you about another project. We managed to buy a piece of So we picked up this E36 M3. It's a E36 M3 knockoff. It's just a 92 325 with some M3 stuff on it. It's basically, we took a piece of shit and people threw like some good parts at it, you know, and called it an M3. But hey, for $1,500, you know, it was a bargain. It is rough. It's got some blinker fluid, you know, that's a nice touch. And you know, we got big plans to it, so we'll see what happens. We got 12 days to get this thing in one piece, presentable, and go to Bimmerfest. So what could possibly go wrong? It's 92, so it has some blue interior. It's got butt warmers, which is nice, but I mean, we're gonna gut it, put racing seats in it, put our new roll bar in it, Sparko hub, we have that. It's got the shifter. It's pretty impressive, the amount of slop in it. I mean, you can slap it into gear. It's actually really cool. I mean, that just, you know, pretty cool. So we'll have solid shifter. This thing's kind of chilling over here. Windows work sometimes, locks work sometimes. Just has a personality of its own, you know. Sometimes it just does whatever the hell it wants to do, but it'll add character. It's got the usual tragic E36 interior quality, so that's cool, you know, but gutting it, so won't matter. Battery dies. It's got the usual important stuff in the trunk: the tools, jumper cables, screwdriver, the things, the E36 necessities. It overheats, it leaks. We're debating on motor, you know, S54, LS. There's a bunch of ways we can do it. We even had some guys, you know, with the K-swap. They want us to put the K-swap in it, you know, like the old British tooling cars. We kind of have like guideline. We don't really have a plan. We just have a guideline in 12 days. So what could possibly go wrong? Ta-da! So this is what you would come to expect when buying a Craigslist transaction for an E36. This is a $1,500 car. You're gonna find $1,500 issues with it. You know, they're usually neglected. Valve covers are always leaking. This particular one is a 92, so it's early non-Vanos. A lot of guys like that for its boosted application, its simplicity versus the Vanos systems. Power steering leaks is pretty typical, especially for a price point like this. Now you can expect to find a car that's not an M car. Yeah, let's just say a 325 range. You can pick them up anywhere from $1,500 to like $3,000 depending on condition and mileage. So something like this at $1,500, you can tell it needs some work, needs some attention, but it has some M3 tidbits. You know, you're gonna have to really weigh it out. The most common thing is gonna be overheating. Whenever you go out to buy a car, make sure that you can basically have the car idle for a couple minutes, and you know, that will kind of tell the truth. You know, if the owner doesn't want you to really have it idle, I mean, it's probably not a good sign. I mean, you really don't want it overheating. That could be the death of these motors, these M50s, M52s. Overheating is one of the worst things that you could do. So definitely preventative maintenance, add that into your budget. So if your car is $1,500, you know, it's safe to say that you can probably add the amount of the car in maintenance alone. People think that's a lot, but no, I mean, there's hoses, there's gaskets, there's you know, thermostat housing. You know, all these things leak around the valve cover. They all leak around the power steering. You know, at this miles in this budget, that's what you end up finding. Now, as you get into like maybe the $4,000 or $5,000 range, maybe M3 territory, where you know they're starting to go up in value, then you can find, you know, they'll be a little bit more well maintained. It's gonna be basically how much can you afford and how much are you willing to do yourself. For us, this is perfect, right? Because we're gonna gut it. Didn't care about the interior, didn't care it was an early model, didn't care about the motor because we're gonna motor swap it. So $1,500 is pretty good, and it's considering that we had a wrecked M3 that we could take all the donor parts from. That's good. So you could always keep that in mind too. Like, is the M3 really worth the difference? Yeah, it's up to you. You know, I mean, you do get bigger brakes. You do get, you know, limited slip options, some M3 interior bits, you know, the body kits and stuff like that, but everything bolts on to a non-M. So put that in consideration. And there's huge aftermarket support for the E36. So if you want it to look like an M3, there's also the aftermarket support for that as well. So M3 might not be necessarily what you're looking for. You know, if you're looking for a track rat, 325s, 328s, you know, they're a good bang for buck as well. So yeah, our plans with this is, you know, we're end up gonna basically track it. I mean, what the f is that?
What the hell is this shit? It's a f***ing piece of shit.
Oh wow. Oh my god. That's okay. Okay. Yeah, not factory. Probably not. Probably not. You're probably not gonna find out a real OEM. You know, I'm gonna put that back down. Maybe it does something important that I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm just gonna put that back. So, yeah, we got some work to do. Also, ignition works sometimes, not always. Just gonna pray that that holds. Yeah, sounds like man. I think the clutch fan's going out. You can hear it. Check that out. Sounds like I'm taking off 747 style. A mile away. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. All right, so let's take it a drive and tell you your plans for it. So, show you just how well built, sturdy these cars are ready to go. You know what? F it, let's go. So all kidding aside, actually, these cars are pretty solid, to be honest. They got really great rear suspension subframe, geometry, and for the price that the E30s are going for, the E30s used to be your go-to track vehicle. They're just going up in value. For the money the E30s are going for lately, it doesn't make sense to be tracking those things. Not to mention you're battling the rear trailing arms, where E36s are, they're a lot cheaper right now. They are going up in value, but they're much cheaper right now. They got better, suspension geometry, a lot more aftermarket, some more bigger brakes. They're just more easier to, definitely easier to live with for sure. Especially if you want to do dual purpose. It's a budget-friendly track car, really is what it is. Especially for what you can get them for. Definitely worth it. That's why we chose to start tracking the E36s as well. We ended up actually picking up two projects, one drift car and one grip car. So this would be the grip car. We're gonna start out just by testing suspension only. The whole suspension on this thing is just shot. We're going around, it's bouncing, wheel hop, all kinds of stuff. So we'll start with the basics, control arm bushings, motor mounts, trans mounts, subframe, all that stuff, and do a lot of preventive maintenance. The biggest thing on an E36, and it carries on to the E46 as well, is a cracked chassis. The rear subframe mounting points end to crack. Now, if you end up putting poly or Delrin, you're just going to aggravate that. They crack under stock circumstances, so definitely one of those things that we're going to do first. And as far as this little M50, we're going to see how far we can push this thing before, motor swapping it. So we're going to do some maintenance on it, fix the leaks, do some maintenance. Right now it's misfiring and it's kind of doing all kinds of stuff, and do some suspension mods and kind of see where the limit of needing power over suspension. Because these cars handle incredibly well when they're modified. They definitely shine there. It's definitely good to kind of like also test people as they're driving. If you want to get into tracking, definitely something like you want to start learning first. You don't want the car to mask, your mistakes on the track and, basically allow you to do things. So that's why sometimes tracking a really shitty car is a great idea. So for an ideal learning car, this is the E36 is definitely the one to go to. I mean, it's the cheapest way to get seat time. You do some suspension mods, you got a pretty potent car. It's very forgiving, but at the same time, it will tell you when you've made a mistake, so that way you can learn. So as a driver's car, for cheap track time or cheap drift time, it's really hard to go wrong with an E36. Yeah. I bet you I could probably slap it into the third. No. No? But close. So we only got 12 days to get this done before Bimmerfest. So we're gonna start right away. We're gonna gut the car today, and then in the next couple episodes, we're gonna go through the rear subframe. We're gonna go through chassis reinforcement. We're gonna show you guys the livery we got planned, big brakes, wheels. We're gonna keep the motor stock for right now, and just show the limits of the E36, just suspension mods. But comment below, what motor should we put in this thing? Is there something you guys wanna see? Is there you wanna do LS, K-swap? I mean, anything in between. We have the ability to make it. Just give us the idea and let's get it done. I mean, we're gonna have a track-friendly E36, show you guys how to get it done. So be sure to subscribe. So be sure to what the fuck? So be sure to subscribe and let us know what you want to see, what you don't want to. So be sure to subscribe. What's wrong with me?
Just say so. Stay tuned and
subscribe. Tuned. So be sure to subscribe, and we might even show you guys a couple things in the next couple episodes about our E36 drift build. Where's my impact?
the camera, dog. I get
know.
in front of this. I don't know how to contain myself.
This is what happened last time you were on camera.
Oh,
It
dude,
was
I can't
fantastic.
stop. I can't stop.